chapter 20. Cheryl, come to me. Come to me. Give tzedakah before the shir. Le'ili nishmas. Akiva ben Moshe. Ola Mashalom. Hannah Esther. Yehudit. Come give tzedakah, please. It's always a good idea to give tzedakah before learning or before a mitzvah. It adds enthusiasm and vitality. Because tzedakah gives life. So it puts life into what you're doing. Okay? I said a bracha downstairs. The water wasn't hot. Lukewarm coffee. But we have to be grateful. Chapter 20, Lam Natsei Mizmer David. We're going to learn Tanya today. Yancha Adonai B'yem Tzara. Hashem should answer us on the day of distress. Yes, Sagevcha. Shem Elohei Yaakov. The name of the God of Jacob should support you. He should send help from his holy chamber. Where is his holy chamber? Who knows? Where is the holy chamber of God?
In Yerushalayim.
In Yerushalayim. Where in Yerushalayim? In the Beis Hamikdash, right? There's one other place. It's in your heart. Okay. Umitzion, and from Zion, he should send Yisadeka support. Yizker kol minchaisecha, he should recall your offerings, your flour offerings. A mincha is a flour offering. Flour offerings were made like, they're made of matzahs, but thick. They were thick like this, not like Pesach, paper thin. The matzahs were thick like this and like that, like boats, like barges. And they were always on a table made entirely of gold. Where'd they get the gold from? Egypt. They took it with them. Iskar kol minchaisecha, you should recall your flour offerings. Oilasecha, your animal offerings. What could animal offerings be made out of? Which animals could be offered on the holy altar?
Lamb, pigeon, like a cow, goat.
Cattle, goats, and
sheep.
Very good.
What about chickens? Birds.
Chickens? No.
No chickens?
No, just pigeons or doves.
Oh.
You can eat chickens, but they you don't take them on the base on the altar. Yadash Nasela. Okay. Hashem should give you your heart's requests. And your good decisions. He should enable you to fulfill them. Like to always look in a siddur when you say bracha achrayim. Let us rejoice in your salvation, Hashem. And raise the name of God on a banner high. Hashem should fulfill all your requests. What is our request? We have one request, Moshiach now. Now I know, says David HaMelech, Ki Heshia Adonai Mashirei, Hashem saves his anointed one. Certainly David could speak from experience. His life was saved over and over and over again. Yanehu Mishmei Kodshe, and he answers him from his holy heavens. Bigavures, with might, Yesha, salvation, Yamine, his right hand. Eile v'rechev, some come with chariots. Eile v'susim, some come with cavalry. V'anachnu are their modern day equivalents. V'anachnu b'shem Adonai Eloheinu nazker, we come with the name of God on our lips. Hema karu v'nafalo, they stumbled and fell. V'anachnu kamnu, we stood up. And this oidate, and we are strong, standing strong after 3,500 years. Adonai Hishem Melech Yaneinu v'yim kareinu. So many people don't know. Our people don't know. It's really a shame. But you have to know, girls, I repeat this over and over again. It should, you should always remember, when you meet somebody, it's not an accident. Hashem wanted you to meet that person, that man, that woman, that Jew, that non-Jew, and to share with them a nice thought, a smile, a good morning, a how are you, to show an interest in them. You don't have to preach at them, but they have to know three things. They have to know, you have to know, and it will become communicated to them that you have, Shirel, a godly soul. It's part of God. And it's with you from time to time, but not just from time to time, it's always with you. Accessing it, that's the difficulty. You should access it, but it's there with you all the time. Where is it? In your heart. Sometimes it's hidden deep in your heart. It takes some extreme circumstance to bring it out. Somebody should scream at you or threaten you, or something should move you very deeply, and you realize that your life is on the line. And that brings it out. Like in Warsaw, 1939, the Germans were bombing Warsaw, and the Jews ran to the subways for shelter, and a bomb went off right outside the entrance to the subway station, and it made a big bang. There were a few thousand people. A few thousand people can fit into a subway station, and there was a lot of assimilation in Warsaw at that time, in Poland. There's a lot of assimilation. The Hasidim were from, most people were sort of kind of traditional. A lot of them were not, a lot of them were very anti-religious. But like one person, they all screamed out together, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. Where'd that come from? It came from deep in their heart. That is the spark of godliness in the heart of every single Jew. Adina, come and give tzedakah. Come quick. This is the Ildi Nishmas Akiva ben Moshe. Allah Shalom. Today is his yard site. That's number one. Number one thing we have to know to communicate, we have to know. And if we know it, it'll come across that a Jewish person, no matter old or young, newborn, have a holy neshama, which is part of God. Chapter 2, Tanya. Really. Number two, every Jewish person has the most exalted background. They're deserving of the greatest respect and admiration because they, every one of us here in this room, we are the descendants of people that are like the highest mountains, spiritual mountains of mankind, who stand out head and shoulders above the whole history of mankind. Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah, giants, spiritual giants, our family. That's who we are. That's who we are. And everybody you meet, that's who they are. A bubby in the mall, give her a pair of Shabbos candles. She is a daughter of Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah. And so is her mother and her grandmother. Here, come give tzedakah. Le'ilin Mishmas. Akiva ben Moshe. That's the second thing. And the third thing what they have to know, we said at the Haggadah in the Pesach Seder, everybody says it and they don't take it seriously. They say it, they know it, it's familiar, it's nice to hear it again. Everybody likes to hear it again, but they don't really think a lot of people don't really think it means them. And that is that our ancestors were slaves in the land of Egypt. And we suffered terribly. That was our first exile. And Hashem took us out of there with signs and wonders. He broke Egypt, which was the superpower of the day, and took us through the Red Sea, and guided us in the desert, fed us man daily in the desert. He still feeds us every day in the desert. He feeds us every day. It's the same thing, only now it's in garments of nature. And water that came from the rock. 40 years in the desert. Who could live 40 years in the desert? Once I had to travel across the what's it called? The desert, the Mojave Desert. I had to travel across it in a car. I was 19 years old. I was so nervous that the radiator would run dry and we'd be stuck in the desert with these bones of dead animals that had perished there. How did the Jewish people do it? How did they go? Millions of people followed Moshe into the desert. In this week's parsha, it says, he Davka did not take them the short route. What's the short route from Egypt to Israel? You go up through Gaza, you're there in 10 minutes. He took them 40 years through the desert. No water, no food, no one. And they went. And they went. King Solomon wrote about this, how comely are your steps and shoes, that you followed me in, says Hashem. Hashem says a song of love to the Jewish people, his bride. Followed me into the desert, the love of your youth. That's what we have to know. That's where we come from. And we say it every single year. We say it in the Haggadah. And it's so nice. It's beautiful to say it. And we all say it. You all know it, right? If Hashem had not taken us out of there, we and our children and our children's children would be slaves to Pharaoh in Egypt today. We have to take that seriously. He took us out of being slaves to a king, a cruel king, that we should be servants of him, the King of Kings. And it's an exchange. It's a lifelong exchange. And every single day, we have to make the right decision. Do we want to be servants of Hashem and not servants of Pharaoh or his modern day equivalent? Okay, that's it. Now, Tanya. These are the three things you have to know. And there's a fourth thing. The four letters of the name of God. There's a fourth thing. What's the fourth thing? That the Rebbe told us that Mashiach was coming today.
Amen.
Today.
Today.
If I told you, Adina, when we finish this class, you're going to go outside, someone's going to stop you on the sidewalk and say, oh, I'm so happy I met you here. I have a chassan for you. Your parents are going to love him, and you're going to love him. How you're very happy to hear that, right? Today. The Rebbe told us Moshiach is coming today. Some person might think, that's an Alta Maisa. 30 years ago, he said it. 50 years ago, 70 years ago, he said it.
Yeah, Mashiach.
Yesterday was Baba Sali's yard site. Do you think Baba Sali thought he's not coming today? The happiness of hearing that announcement has to be today. Didn't happen yesterday? Well, there were certainly kuvim, certain obstacles. It didn't happen today. It's going to happen today. The Rebbe says it. The Rebbe never said something that didn't happen. When the Rebbe gave a bracha that a sick person should get better, he got better. The Rebbe didn't just say things. He wasn't just trying to encourage people. I told you a story yesterday. A friend of mine went running over to the house of the Rebbe in the middle of the night when he heard that his sister's little son was dying in the hospital, would not live through the night. And he bravely rang the bell. Nobody bothered the Rebbe in his private home. He did it anyway. He felt he had to do it to save the life of the child. The Rebbe answered the door. He said, I'm sorry, Rebbe, for bothering you. She said, that's all right. That's what we're here for. What do you need? He told her that. She said, I'll tell my husband. Did she tell her husband? I guess she said. She said she would. But that child recovered during the night. He did not perish. And when this young man who lives on Montgomery Street in the 800s wrote a letter to the Rebbe to thank him for the blessing for saving his nephew's life, come give tzedakah. Me? Yes, you. The Rebbe said, don't thank me. The Rebbetzin can also give brachas. Rebbetzin can also give brachas. On another occasion, 3 women from France came knocking at the door of the house. They didn't know better. And one of the people there who used to help out in the household, he was a bacher, he sent them away. And he said, you have to go to 770 to ask for a bracha. That's what you do. And the Rebbe saw this and he said, who sent them away? So the bacher had to say, he said, whatever, said, go bring them back immediately. He had to run out and go looking for them and brought them back. So we want to ask a bracha for whatever, for a shidduch or something, or for children. We want to ask a bracha for children. 3 French ladies. So they sat them down in the kitchen and they wrote a zettel and they gave it in. And he gave it to the Rebbe. And the Rebbe said, this is not for me, this is for the Rebbetzin. She is the daughter of a Rebbe. She is the granddaughter of a Rebbe. She is the great-granddaughter of a Rebbe. That's what the Rebbe said. Now, I heard this from the bacher himself. Anyway, almost a year later, Rabbi Groner, the Rebbe's secretary, called in this young man who was still a bacher. He said, you remember those 3 ladies from France who came to the door? He said, yeah. He said, well, we just heard word they all had babies. So when the Rebbe says something, it's real. And he says, Moshiach is coming today, that means today. Okay. Tanya. We are in chapter 7. We're talking about tshuva. The steps of tshuva are, 1, that a person realizes that he or she is a failed Beinani. They wanted to be good, and they made a mistake here, they made a mistake there. They failed. They're not Beinanis, so they're regular people. Regular people make mistakes, but they don't justify the mistake. They don't say, oh, it's good, I'm fine like this. No, they feel bad. And what do you do when you feel bad? That's called remorse. You have to admit that you made a mistake, like Alcoholics Anonymous. I am an alcoholic. You have to announce, you have to admit that you made a mistake. You have to admit your weakness. If you don't admit your weakness, you can never fix it. I have a problem. I talk too much on the telephone. I watch things that I'm not supposed to watch. I'm curious about things I'm not supposed to be curious about. I waste time. I eat too much. I don't exercise. So I lose my temper. I sleep in. I don't get excited. I'm not a happy person. Person has to know their problems. If you don't admit your problem, how can you fix it? How can you go to the psychiatrist? He's going to ask you, what are your problems? You'll lie down on the couch. You'll tell him about your problems. He'll give you a nice big bill. You'll feel better. So step number 1 is to realize that you made a mistake, and step number 2, to admit it. And step number 3, to make a strong resolution that I'm not going to do this again. For this, you have to plan. You have to think, what am I going to do next time this situation occurs? How am I going to avoid making the same negative response? You follow me, Yehudit? You have to plan ahead. Just like an athlete plans in advance, what is he going to do when his opponent does this? In tennis, the guy's going to hit like this. What am I going to do? How am I going to move? How am I going to respond? in any sport, you plan out your plays. In war, you plan out your movements. Everything in war is movement. How did Napoleon, how was he such a powerful warrior? Because he moved his troops so quickly, he would march them through the night at great speed, and the enemy was constantly being taken by surprise, and he would easily overcome them until he met up against the Alter Rebbe. You know, about the tzaddik keeping his word, I just heard yesterday a story about the Alter Rebbe in the war with Napoleon, that the Alter Rebbe guaranteed, you know, the rabbis were all on Napoleon's side. The Alter Rebbe was like the only one against Napoleon, because he felt that Napoleon, while he would free the Jews from anti-Semitism, but it would lead to assimilation, which would bring in far worse consequences, which is the Holocaust. Came about because of assimilation. When the Jews felt that they were more German than the Germans, and the Germans said, "Oh yeah, we'll show you who's German." So the Alter Rebbe promised that Russia would defeat Napoleon. And at the beginning of the war, they didn't. Napoleon was roaring through Russia, and the Jews were running away. The Alter Rebbe also ran away, and they were burning their homes and burning their villages so that the French should not get any food or any sustenance or any help from them. And people came to the Alter Rebbe and they complained, "You said we're going to defeat Napoleon, and look, we're losing. And the Alter Rebbe said, "What I said, and you will see that the tide will turn and Napoleon will meet a bitter end in this war." And that's exactly what happened. You have to know, when the Rebbe says something, he says, "This is Hashem." Okay, so this is how you do tshuva. You make a strong resolution never to make this mistake again, and you plan, how am I going to avoid making this mistake? And if you do make a mistake, then quickly you correct yourself. And you train yourself. You train like a gymnast, like any athlete. You have to train, or any professional, you have to train how to do your job properly and well, like a doctor, like an accountant. Okay. And you get energy, and with this remorse, the regret that you feel that you didn't live up to your potential, you didn't live up to the good person that you want to be, that will drive you to excel in this area and not to make a mistake again, and help you that you should really overcome and not make mistakes again. Even you might want to, but you won't do it. You'll hold yourself in. That's called tshuva. You know what it's like? You take a balloon. There was a guy here, Charlie. I think he's in a home now in Williamsburg. He would blow balloons. He would go to every simcha and blow balloons. And the Rebbe really liked him. He would blow a balloon like this. And then you hold the balloon. Now, what's going to happen if he lets go at the end? This end, nothing is going to grab it again. If he lets go of the balloon at this end, what's going to happen? Right? That's what happens when a person does tshuva. All the energy that you put into making your mistake is blowing up the balloon. And when you do tshuva, then all that energy comes back and it becomes good. It becomes good energy. It becomes positive energy, enabling you to do much better than ever before. That's what tshuva is all about. And when you do that, then you elevate. Tshuva does something that you otherwise cannot do. Tshuva actually transforms bad to good. You can't transform bad to good. You can only do mitzvahs which are elevating good. Take an apple, you say a bracha before and after, you elevate it. Can't transform it. But when you make a mistake and then you do tshuva and you never make that mistake again, even if you want to, even if you're inclined to it, you still like that kind of behavior, but you hold yourself in and you don't do it, that transforms bad to good. And I told you this story already several times. It's such a fantastic story of this young man in his 50s, I guess, who became a Jewish man. Rabbi Castell told the Rebbe on Sunday Dollars, his parents are both Jewish, and he became a Christian priest. And he wants to return to his Jewish roots, and the Rebbe gave him $1 for his Jewish roots. Have a seat. If you want to leave, you can leave. Success. Everything should be good. And Rabbi Castell jumped in front of the Rebbe and said he wants to know what he should do to atone for his past. And the Rebbe said, you remember what the Rebbe said? He has no past. That's what Shuvah does. Transforms negative to positive. Okay? That's what this chapter is all about. So in this energy, bottom page 119, the energy that you put into doing something, into your failure, reverts to holiness through the person's return to the service of Hashem, and a trace of evil, But a trace of evil remains in the body, and therefore the body needs to get cleansed of the stain. How do you cleanse the body of the stain? Say a lot of Tehillim. Tehillim cleans the stains. Say a lot of letters, holy words. That cleanses. That is the cleansing agent. Okay? And then we go on to forbidden fruits. What happens if I have foods that are absolutely forbidden, totally forbidden? So then the life that you invest in doing something that's forbidden, like stealing or coveting somebody's things, or abusing somebody, slandering somebody, hurting them financially, hurting them spiritually, deceiving them, any of these terrible transgressions, that schleps you down into the realm of the 3 impure klippas. And when you realize that that's what you've done and you do tshuva, then even the negative things you planned on doing, the revenge that you planned to take, and you felt so good when you took revenge on this person, you know, he didn't answer you, and so he didn't say hello to you, or she didn't say hello to you, and you're not going to say hello to them. And then you overcome yourself, and you're nice to them anyway. You're nice to them. You push away your resentment. Then that transforms it into good. That's called tshuva out of love, which comes from the depths of the heart, page 121 at the bottom, with great love and fervor from his soul, passionately desiring to cleave to Hashem. You hear that? That deep down, you access this point deep down in your heart where, like when you were a little girl, you just wanted to be connected with that which was good and holy. And be able to hold on to your favorite doll. When you read page 122, another very potent line here. When the person realizes that by doing something wrong, not just you hurt somebody else, but that the person himself finds himself in a barren wilderness spiritually, in a barren wilderness in the shadow of death, which is the other side, the side that's not holy. The side that's not holy is the side of not life. And that this person, through a negative behavior, had become removed from the light of Hashem's presence. And he's in terrible spiritual darkness, in the greatest possible measure. And therefore, he yearns to return to the light and to quench the thirst that he has, like a person thirsting in the desert for water. And this thirst is greater than the desire even of the most righteous people. And that's what it says on page 122, towards the bottom. B'mokem shabali tshuva oimdim, in the place where bali tshuva stand, even the greatest righteous people cannot stand there. This is called tshuva out of love. And that transforms the negative things to positive things. He has no past. I have to run to catch the minion because I have to say Kaddish for Akiva ben Moshe. All Shalom. Classes, they fly by so fast. Try to keep it short. Wait a minute. Tshuva. Talk about tshuva the whole day and you don't do it. Here we go. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Bohen nefashot shel basar chesronim. Okei, mashem nasalach v'yisparim. Nefesh kol hayim. Saved by the bell. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy the spring. Winter is over. Snows one more time. Mike, we won't last. Enjoy the nice weather before the hot days come.
Escúchame, esta bolsa. La que la veo yo la hablé. No. Ah, mira. Ah, eso no, debe haber sido una. Sí, porque yo puedo ver tres tamaños. Ah, dos, bueno, dos. Sí, dos. Todo, ¿no? Sí, te digo. Yeah, donation. Yeah, see, but I think that I have Oh, you're not here. But
You're sitting here or here?
Here.
Ahora que vas a
ayer. Y Linky Block también. $18. Oh, man. A ver, eso es un... ¿De qué son personajes? ¿De qué? ¿De qué es relajante? Bueno, yo ya eso más o menos. Sí, pero para no perder el por eso sí.